Yeah.
So we're only be asking like a couple of questions, so we don't want to use up like a lot.
Oh, no problem. Whatever you need.
All right, so
Gotta win that money.
I know.
what is the main mission of your organization?
Want to take that one?
Well, let's look in here. So basically our mission, we want to be able to create, our first goal is to create a sensory center. So the sensory center basically is going to be like a play place, those indoor play places that you can take your kids to birthday parties and things like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids on the spectrum, which is the autism spectrum disorder. So when we say spectrum, we mean, autistic. They have a lot of sensory issues, right? So they can't process too much chaos and too much lights and noise. And for example, like the Starbucks, our kids cannot handle this noise. They can hear every conversation going on. They can hear the lights humming. They can hear things that we can't hear. And so it's too much. They can't process that. So it causes a lot of anxiety. It can cause, triggers that they can hit themselves or, behaviors, things like that. So all that to say, in our sensory center, a lot of these kids, they need some outlet. So they need some visual stimulation. They need tactile. Sometimes just there was a kid in a school that just would not sit for math. He was rocking off his chair. Literally all the teacher did was give him sandpaper and have him kind of rub the sandpaper, and it completely focused him. And every time he did math, he just sat there with sandpaper and was able to
calmed his sensory system.
Exactly, his nervous system, everything. So we want to provide a sensory center. So it'll have individual rooms, like a visual room with LED lights and bubble tubes and wave projectors and things that will calm them visually. Then a tumbler room where a lot of kids need deep pressure in their bodies. Like my son Noah, who's 13, he has a lot of need for this. So sometimes he'll hit himself in the head, which if I try to do it the way as hard as he does it, and it hurts me. But for him, they have a higher pain threshold and their body needs that pressure. So we want to create a room that they can have special therapy swings hanging from the ceiling where they're wrapped in a cocoon, and it just calms their nervous system. They can go into a ball pit. They can roll around in climbers and things like that. We want to have a tactile room where they have sand and sandpaper and water and features that they can release that. Then we'll have an auditory room where they can listen to music and calm down, so things like that. And then we're also going to use our center to customize for kids' birthday parties, because I can't bring my kid to a regular play place for a birthday party. But if we bring them to our center, the kids don't need to miss out on on fun and being a kid. So that's kind of our mission, to provide a safe place for kids and their families to come and have fun, enjoy, but still get their needs met, their physical needs met.
There's a full mission statement here and on the website if you need to copy word for word.
Yeah.
But part of the other mission or purpose is to also be an outlet for parents as well. So, if we take our kids to a lot of typical places that most parents bring their kids, our child might not be able to handle all this sensory stimulation that's going on, and then like she said, that turns into a behavior. And so sometimes if other parents don't understand that your child has a diagnosis, to them it just looks like, oh, your child is misbehaved, and you get dirty looks as a parent, or sometimes even comments. Parents will say things to you, and that's really disheartening as a parent if someone else doesn't understand. So the other side of it too is to create, and part of the reason behind our name is to create a peaceful atmosphere for not only the kids but for the parents as well. They'll be able to come to a place where there's no judgment, and other parents are there who kind of get what they're going through, and we'll have support groups and workshops and everything like that as well. So it's not only for the kids, but it's for the parents as well.
That was a really good answer, because you guys answered 5 more questions. Because it was what programs and services, and then you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we can expand on that a little bit more. If you have, you can ask questions if there's anything we can expand on.
Okay, fine. Now, I'm gonna just do the question.
Yeah.
What does your charity value the most?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I mean, I think number one is we value the children, and we do have, I don't know if we put it on our website, but we did come up with a set of core values. I think they're on our website. we obviously value inclusion and just making sure that everyone has a safe space, right? And the fact that, like I said, we can't necessarily bring our kids to all of the places that other families can. We just want to make sure that every family, no matter what diagnosis their child has a safe space. So we do value that inclusion. We value, the children themselves and making sure that they feel honored and not like they're looked at any differently.
We want to also, we value the children in the sense of we want to provide the same opportunities that you guys have. Like my kid's going to high school next year, so he's 13 now, but he functions at sometimes age 2 to 3 year old. So out from the outside, if you were to just see him on the street, you would think, oh, there's a teenager. But and because autism is not always a physical disability that you can see, it's misunderstood. So we want to bring awareness, and we want parents to feel like they're not alone. Like we get it. We've had experiences where, like she said, people make comments and they judge, but these are things that the kids can't control. Like if you have an itch, and what is your first instinct? To itch it.
So, yes.
But imagine going through life with an itch that you cannot itch. You just don't know that if you take your arm and itch it, it'll go away. The kids can't do that. Or my 13-year-old is nonverbal. He can't communicate. I've never had a conversation with him in my life. So when he's in pain, he can't even write. He can type 90 words a minute, and I'm not kidding, but he can't type functional language. So he can't communicate what his needs are. So if he has a headache, how does he react to it? Well, he starts hitting his head, pounding his head on the wall. From the outside, that looks like, oh, he's having a tantrum, or he's, so we want to bring awareness. So we value people's dignity, and we want to bring families understanding and awareness to the public that this is compassion, right? And provide opportunities for these kids, because if you go to Silicon Valley, 90% of those people are autistic. They are geniuses. I'm telling you, the things that my kid can do on a computer blows me away. He can, and his memorization, he has memorized the entire end credits to a movie. It's incredible. He can tell you who the executive producer is for Nemo. I don't know. Things like that. So we want to bring awareness and bring dignity back and respect back, and help these families, right? And let them know they're not alone on this journey. We're here to support them in any way we can. Because that's the one thing. When you get a diagnosis, you feel like, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go? Who do I turn to for help? You kind of feel isolated. So we want to break down those barriers, and we want to welcome people and families and individuals that maybe don't know about autism or don't have anyone in their path in their life that is affected by it. But chances are 1 in 68 kids right now are affected. So chances are you already know someone who's affected. That's a staggering number.
And it's only getting
10 years ago this number was over 150. And now it's 1 in 68 people, kids.
Yeah, because when we were talking to Miss D'Olivera, our teacher, about how we were gonna do piece by piece, which was an autism development center. I remember she told us her husband is she said her husband was autistic.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's different levels. That's what's called the spectrum, right? So you have high functioning where they can full on have a conversation with you.
It used to be considered Asperger's.
Yeah.
Which was basically just kind of more social quirks, and you have a difficult time in social settings. That was kind of Asperger's, which is that high functioning. I can still carry on a conversation, but I might have a hard time looking you in the eye, and I need to do repetitive things. And then there's the other extreme side where there's no it's non-verbal, and I don't know how else to describe it, but So I was gonna say the other thing, in terms of value, is obviously progress for these kids too, right? And to echo what Sandra said, when you first get a diagnosis as a parent, you're kind of just I have no idea where to go. I have no idea where to turn. Hopefully we will be known well enough that people will know that they can come to us as just like a starting point. And I was fortunate enough that, I mean, I would never wish it upon someone, but she had gone through it before I went through it, so I had her. But not everyone has that. So we want to be that place, and we also want to help the kids to grow into the best versions of themselves too. Like, yes, we understand the diagnosis and we accept who they are as people, but we want to help them progress however they can as well, right? Because we also want them to be able to perform tasks and do things and like associate with their peers in kind of typical ways. So like, you know, through workshops, if it's like a bike riding class, you know, we'll help with things like that that are more practical in social settings so that we can help them progress to be the best versions of themselves. So,
let me see, because you guys answered so much.
That's right.
We're just so passionate.
Ask away.
That's good.
What is unique or special about your charity? We kind of like,
Okay, take it away then.
We kind of already know this, but
Yeah. So basically, when we got together, it was Sandra's idea. She was kind of like, you know, I've had kids on the spectrum now for a few years, and this is really the one gap in the autism community that isn't being filled right now. So, like we said, there are typical play places that you can bring your kids to, but it's not like it's tailored to them. And you don't get that kind of environment where people really understand, and there's a lot of sensory stimulation going on there, so it's not really specific to them. So when we started researching, there was nothing that we could find in almost all of North America that is going to be what our model is. So there are other facilities that will have one sensory room in their location, but a lot of times you have to be there. They might be a private center, so you have to be a client first of all in order to access that sensory room, or there might be a really long wait list in order to get one time slot that you can take your child in. So we are unique in the sense that there is no other center out there who operates under a model like this of having multiple sensory rooms that is open to the public and easily accessible. So it's like a drop-in policy. Come whenever you want. If your child's having a hard time, just come in any time of the day, pay your entrance fee, and you can stay and play as long as you want. And there's nothing that we could find in the market that operated under that model.
Yeah, and all the equipment, everything is specialty equipment. So everything is from a company in Toronto, like the distributor is specialized for special needs kids. So like I mentioned, the therapy swings, there's like literally a hugging machine. It's almost like a roller that you put your body through because that deep pressure on your body, a lot of times for my son, when he needs to calm down, he just wants like a really, really tight squeeze, and it just calms your nervous system. So specialty equipment, we're going to tailor everything to like kids with autism and, you know, sensory processing disorder. But yeah, our biggest thing is that, and that we're going to be open, like, to the public. There's going to be no like wait lists or no private, you know, and we also want to be able to work with existing professionals. So like there's a lot of private professionals like occupational therapists or behavioral therapists that have private clients, like they work, say, with a 7-year-old. And, you know, in order for them to get more clients, they can use our center as almost an incentive. Hey, part of your kid's program that I can provide, I have this unique sensory center I can bring him to as part of his programming, you know, like let me work with your son. So it gives an incentive also, and it bridges that gap between almost like the competitive like private centers. We want to bring everyone together to help as many people as we can. And that's another part of why we decided to be a charity as opposed to like just a for-profit company. We want to, you know, and we want to eventually also be able to, within our charity, create some sort of either foundation or separate thing where we can fund, where we can provide, you know, based on application assistance, financial assistance to families that are waiting for the wait list. Because right now, a wait list to get services from the government
for behavioral
therapy, which is like early intervention. That is the key to help your child learn how to drink from a cup, literally. Like if they break it down, is 3 to 4 years. is waitlist just to get the services. So let me just tell you, for 3 months of therapy, if I was to pay out of my pocket, it would minimum cost $10,000 every 3 months. So I don't know about you guys, I can't afford
For one child?
One child. Based on 21 hours a week. So like a lot of families, that's why they're on a wait list, because nobody, I don't know what they do for a living, but nobody can afford that, right? So we want to be able to help the families that are on wait list, that are desperate, to lower the costs of private therapy. The phase 2 of our center will also provide behavioral therapy. They can come to our center, actually do the therapy, but then use our facility, but at a lower cost. Almost to subsidize some of that cost, because it's so expensive. It's so expensive. Like minimum, it's like $60 an hour, and you're needed to do it for like 21 hours a week to be successful.
Yeah. It can be up like $1,000 a week, basically.
Easily.
Yeah.
So that's what makes us unique, and that's
Sorry,
why
we're talking really, really fast, so we get so excited.
You have a rewind button on that, right?
Yeah, because when we first came here, we were like, oh yeah, these aren't going to be enough questions, because we only came with like 7 or 8 questions.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be like 5-10 minutes.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah,
We have a lot to say, and if anything that we're saying, because when you kind of are in the autism world, like anything that we say, if you don't know what that is, like if we're like, oh, occupational therapy, and you don't know what that is, just ask and we'll explain, because I know it sometimes is a little bit of jargon. So if we say anything that you're like
IBI, which is intensive behavioral intervention therapy. So the government basically, there's or now it's called applied behavioral analysis, ABA. You'll hear that a lot, and you may see it a lot in your research. So ABA therapy is the only funded government service that Canada provides, and that's why the wait list is so high. There are different versions of therapy. ABA seems to be the most beneficial and successful wide-based therapy, but it's very intense. It's like, you can't just do it 1 hour a week and then, you're good.
That's actually interesting because you said that, because I was working on like our PowerPoint presentation, and then for programs and services, I put like ABA, because that's what I saw on your website, and I didn't know what it was, so I
applied behavioral analysis.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the behavioral therapy that literally teaches them, because as a parent, you don't know, other than like how you would parent your typical developing child, and I put that in quotations, but like toileting, for example, I couldn't toilet train my son the same way that I toilet trained my daughter, and I needed a lot of guidance, and basically they took the program at the center that he attends for ABA. They made toileting a whole program for him, and they break it down, and they have the knowledge and the know-how of how to specifically train your child to go to the washroom, and it was like a months-long process.
But whereas mine, it took a year, and he was in grade 5 until he stopped wearing diapers at night. Because it's so, you take it for granted, like you think, okay, you're a little kid, let's potty train you, get the potty song going. No, like my son, so I have 2 boys who are autistic. My middle one, to this day, we can't flush the toilet in our house because he will scream bloody murder. He just can't. The water, when it fills the tank, you would think someone was cutting his arm off. It hurts him, his ears, whatever it does to his brain, he just can't. So for a long time, we had to train him. He would wear like head-canceling headphones just so we could, and to get him to walk even into the bathroom, the first step was just to get him in. So for like 3 months, I had Thomas the Train, I had confetti, I had like balloons in the bathroom. It looked like a Toys R Us in there. And all he had to do was go in and play in the bathroom for 5 minutes. That was the goal. Yeah. Then the second goal was now he just had to sit on the floor. So we had like Kinder Eggs in there, all kinds of things. It was looked like a party in there. Then the third, few weeks, we had to, the next step, sit on the toilet but with your clothes on. And then like this is what ABA is. You have to break it down. Like you can't assume that, okay, this is a chair, but if you teach him that this is a chair, that stool is also a chair, but he can't like connect that looks different than this. How can this be a chair? How can that be a chair? So you have to teach them to generalize. So that's what ABA does. It teaches, okay, this is a chair, but this is also a chair. This is a beanbag chair, but it's also a chair. So, you have to break it down. So that's the kind of intensity it takes to teach them simple things that we take for granted of a kid knowing, okay, well, what do I do with the chair? Do I just look at it? Do I put my hand on it? No, you sit in it. The function of a chair. Like, you think it's so, duh, but, you have to teach them the function of a table. A table is to sit at and to put your stuff on, to eat. Everything has to be taught and broken down. That's ABA.
I feel like the only question left is if we won the $5,000 from the competition, what would you guys use with it?
You want to take that one?
Sure. I mean, right now we are fundraising to be able to open our center. We are still holding events and doing community things to connect with the children and families that are on the spectrum.
Did you see us on CTV News
We
on
were
Boxing
the
Day?
news.
I'm sorry, but I never watched it.
Oh, I know. Okay, you need to go on our website. We put a link in there. We were
Yeah.
on CTV News on Boxing Day. They
So-
covered our event. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing fundraisers and we're having events to connect with the community and benefit them as much as we possibly can right now without physically having our center. So right now we are fundraising to be able to buy equipment, get a space, lease a building, buy all that specialty equipment that we need for our center has a higher price tag on it. And I mean, like we said, we're kind of just two moms who had this dream and vision and put it together and started running with it. But it's not like we're millionaires who had all this money in our bank account to be able to open it right away. So the $5,000 would kind of just go along with what we have right now to be able to, say, buy a wall panel, for example.
Which
or
costs more than $5,000.
Yeah.
They're so expensive.
Yeah.
Wall panel or one bubble tube was $2,100. The light projector's $30,000. It's so expensive, so expensive. So yeah, we just Boxing Day we had a hockey tournament, a charity hockey tournament. For all day long in Vaughan. And we were able to raise money, and CTV came, they surprised us. We applied for them to come, but we never heard, and then they walked in and covered the event. So, we have a relationship with the city of Brampton. We've met with some of the local MPs. They came, and we had a community event. Last time, 2 summers ago, we had a community car wash. Peel Police came, and they helped us out and stuff. So, the need is there. And one thing we know, families are desperately seeking. What we did last year in May is we rented out a regular play place, and we invited all the families with kids with autism in for free. So it was on us because we just wanted to connect with them, hear their stories, and we had so many parents so desperate, and they keep emailing, when are you opening? When are you opening? We have families from St. Catharines. They're like, I will drive to Brampton because my kid needs this. There's nothing like it. So every dollar is getting us one step closer because the need is so great out there. And because we're a charity, we didn't want, this is not for money, this is not for profit. We're not doing this to put money in our account because we're not going to get paid for a long time. Yeah. This is for the families because, like I said, I have 2 kids on the autism spectrum. She has 1. That's all in one family. We're sister-in-laws, right? And so we've met so many families that are just looking for somebody to walk alongside them, to understand them, to help them. When you create a community inside a massive community, it just brings everyone together, and it outshines all the dark shade that's happening. You guys, you live in Brampton, I'm assuming you hear all the stuff going on, right? So we want to kind of shine in this community, but more so for the kids that are more vulnerable. We want to be their voice because a lot of them they don't have a voice, and families are so overwhelmed by this new life, and trying to navigate through this diagnosis and helping their child, and they're lost and they don't have money for services. So we just want to shed light, bring people together, bring the community together, and make a difference. So literally, whether it's $5,000, $500, every dollar will bring us closer to opening our doors.
It helps us do more events the ones that you talked about, or we have some upcoming events and stuff like that. It helps us just get closer and closer, build that community until we're able to open our center.
If someone wanted to donate to your charity,
I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, so they can actually go.
I was keeping that question.
Yeah. They can actually
Yeah.
go on our website directly. Yeah, right here. Make a donation, peacebypeaceautism.org. We're all set up there. And because we are a registered charity in Canada, it's all tax receivable. So they will right away, we'll put that in our system, and then tax receiving time, they'll get a tax receipt. And we have partners. We actually have Air Canada this year foundation partnered with us and gave a nice sizable donation, which is amazing. So we are like getting momentum, but like I said, the faster we get, that's the only thing stopping us right now is like, it's just the cost. Like we need the money. As soon as we get enough, we are like full force, you know, opening
These
the
are our
doors.
boys. Noah and
that's my-
Corbin are Sandra's, and Jackson
Yeah.
is my son.
Yeah, so this just kind of tells you everything. And there's also like how you can trust us, what makes us unique, what
The
we
breakdown
do.
of the sense. And this is all on our website as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
In more detail and things like that. But yeah, and how people can get involved. And we're, you know, we have an Instagram now. We're like more active on Instagram too, and so we're posting even personal stories and you know, some challenges and things like that, just so people can relate. But yeah.
Thank you so much.
That was a
Yeah,
lot of
thank
information,
you.
I'm sure. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you.
choosing us and
I
giving
know.
us the opportunity.
Best of luck. And again, if you have any questions or when you listen to
I
this,
was going to say, if the audio is not great or you need
send
to
us
hear something
emails.
again-
We'll be happy to answer questions, you know, over the phone or email or whatever clarification. We hope you guys do well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When
Thank
are you
you.
presenting?
She said on Monday.
Okay.
Either Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, very
Okay,
cool.
so you have.
We'd love to even see a copy of the presentation.
That would be great.
If you have like PowerPoint, you said,
Yeah,
or
that'd be
like a
awesome.
write up, whatever you have, send it to us. We'd love to see.
If you want, I can email it. So.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.